Hey, what's going on? This is Ron Fitch, and you're listening to Tell the Truth Sports Radio, the NBA play-in edition. I'm going to make my picks, and during this week, I'll make the prediction for the NBA playoffs, but I want to talk about the play-in games, which are kind of interesting and intriguing. It should be competitive. I'm going to start with the Lakers and the Timberwolves. The Lakers have the advantage because they're playing a lot better. They've had ever since the trade, they've had the best record in the league. And up until yesterday, they had the number one defense in the NBA since the Westbrook trade. I couldn't tell yesterday the way they didn't play as good defense, but I tell you what I do like about LA, and this will really help in this game. They defensive rebound. They've cleaned up the glass because of Vanderbilt's defense and Beasley and they're bigger and Gabriel and AD and LeBron. They're in there. And Reeves will get his nose dirty. Austin Reeves will get his nose dirty and get rebounds. So I think that helps. They're a lot more efficient offensively with Russell. It's more of a slick offense where it flows good. He'll give you the three if he's open. He's very good off the pick, where he'll throw the little short alley-oop to AD or Gabriel or Hachimura, or they'll move the ball around, let Hachimura, let LeBron. LeBron will throw the pass, or he'll end up getting in the post and dishing it to a cutter to the cuts of the basket. It could be Vanderbilt, or he could dish it out to Beasley, who's a good three-point shooter. So there is a good symmetry between the LA players, and they're really playing a lot better. And defensively, they're getting after it. Maybe it's just because they didn't take the Jazz serious. They're getting after it. So I do like how they are playing. I'm not saying that they're going to come out of the West, because this is a playing game. They got to get out of the playing game first before you get all crazy about all these crazy predictions. To get out of playing game, the NBA will be very happy because you get if they now I'll take Minnesota side after I take the LA side. If LA beats Minnesota at home, they would play the Memphis Grizzlies. That's a good series because you got the veteran savvy of AD and the championship medal AD and LeBron and the rest of those young bucks, and how good they played together and how great Austin Reeves played against a rugged, tough, hard-nosed Memphis team. The trash talking, not playing as well, Dylan Brooks, but Bane, who's really good, underrated, and of course John Morant, the superstar they got, and the rest of those dudes, and Jaren Jackson, and the list of guys they got to come after you. Memphis is a sound, solid team, but there's a lot of off the court elements. Jazz had different issues, but the trash talking incident between Shannon Sharpe, and that game is going to be in Memphis. And knowing Memphis, they'll probably have a picture of Shannon Sharpe before the game, and they're going to boot it. It's going to be up on the screen. Of course, Shannon's not going to go to Memphis. They're going to put him on the screen. They're going to boo him. They're going to be playing whoop that trick. They're going to put Shannon Sharpe's picture up there, or LeBron. They're going to be hooting it up. If LA makes it, that will be a festive attitude in Memphis, and that'll be hard. It'd be hard to go in there and play a young Memphis team in a 4-game series, but I wouldn't put it past LA to beat them if they get past that. Now you're playing a Minnesota team that's a mess right now. They're not playing as good. They did win yesterday. Kyle Anderson and Gobert are having an argument, and Gobert hits Kyle Anderson. And Kyle Anderson, listen, he looks like a nice, soft-spoken kid. Kyle Anderson's from Bergen County, man. Okay, he's not putting in Jersey. I'm from Jersey. He's not playing. He's not putting up with that. He might look like you might think he's soft, but he was coming at him. And if that was going to be a fight, Gobert and Kyle, I hope Gobert was about that fighting life where he's good with his hands. But that's unfortunate. And then they suspend Gobert, and they could use him as a rim protector and a guy that could defend Davis, so he's not there. So they have a lot and they don't. Last year, elect the team, and McDaniels is hurt. He breaks his wrist. So they're missing all these guys last year I loved the team. They had Patrick Beverly, they had McDaniels, they had Beasley, they had Russell. It was a team. I said, okay, keep these guys together. They can make a run for years to come. And they got rid of all these guys. Got Gobert in the trade, and you got Cat Towns, who he was hurt this year, but you got them both big men. It just, I don't know. It didn't seem like it fit well. But I'll tell you this: playoff Carl Towns is different. Playoff Carl Towns plays harder and angrier, and he is giving AD some trouble. I don't know if it's a Kentucky thing, but I'm gonna tell you something else. AD better play real. I mean, he was able to just bully the Jazz, but he got to play his best game because that dude that's coming after you has no fear of you. He's coming right for you. And then you got Edwards, and Edwards is a stud, and you got to be concerned with him. If the game is tight in the fourth quarter, if Edwards and Cat Towns can keep going, and they get a little bit of help, that they could, and they're a wounded animal for one game, they could be a handful and maybe pull off an upset if LA doesn't come to play. If LA comes to play and they're engaged and they're just balling out, LA will win. But there's a little bit of slippage, missing shots, taking too many threes, not going to the basket enough. And Davis can't get a couple of inside shots, and he's taking too many threes. Minnesota could pull off the upset for one game. Now, they're not built to make any kind of NBA playoff run. If they beat LA and they upset LA, LA doesn't play well, Memphis will sweep Minnesota this year. I thought it'd be. I actually picked Minnesota in the series, and it was a very close series. This series will not be close. That'd be the one emotional win, circle the wagons, and then Gobert come back. He will not be he won't have one iota of impact against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies will mop the floor with the Timberwolves. Now the Lakers, great series, maybe 7. NBA will love that. Just bow back and forth. You don't want to see Shannon Sharp in LA, where they're playing at home for 3 and 4, maybe 6, going back, unless it's just playful banter where it's talking back. You don't want to get into fisticuffs. I don't think it'll go that far, but Dylan Brooks is going to say something if the good times are rolling. If they got some type of lead, he might say something to Shannon and Ja will, because they're not been sure yet. So they're built to maybe make a run. They're not built to make a run for the finals, because there's too many issues off the court and on the court. There's just too much talking, and they're too emotionally wound up. But they got the talent to be LA and then maybe make another win in the next round. But they wouldn't. I wouldn't pick them. Like if they had to go against KD and the Phoenix in the finals, and you have the trash talking, no ring winning tandem of Devin Booker versus Dylan Brooks. Devin Booker would go back to the finals. I would pick Phoenix, but they're built to win out in the first round. So if LA wins, they would have their hands full. They would have to play the best basketball of the season to get at it, to get 4 games, to beat Memphis and Ja Morant 4 times. But if it's Minnesota, it's not much to talk. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get on to the next round. We'll have a lot of rest, and boom. Like if I'm a Memphis, I'm rooting hard for the Minnesota. That's a cakewalk. But if LA gets in and LA's healthier and they're more together, they're not a mess like Minnesota is. That's a different series. But I just think LeBron will make enough plays. I don't think he'll be as hot because he's older, so it's hard to just have back-to-back scorching hot outside shooting games, but you never know. But he'll do what he has to do because he's been there and done that. And AD's got to figure out how to have a really good game against Cat Towns, because that dude on that other side is going to be bringing it. And Edwards. And I don't know if LeBron at his age could just go, okay, I'm guarding Edwards, but Beasley and Vanderbilt are going to be huge, especially Vanderbilt's defense, knowing that he knows Beasley and played against him, is going to be huge. And Vanderbilt and Beasley and Russell, how in the world did LA get all these guys? former Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they're going to do what they have to do to get LA to the next round. The most intriguing playing game from the Eastern Conference is the Heat and the Hawks. So the Hawks are headed toward South Beach, Miami to play the Heat, and the Heat's short their rotation up. This is a different Miami Heat team. Usually they just shut you down, and Spoelstra has got all these designs on defense and how he could shut the opponent down. And their offense kind of is offensively challenged. This year, the offense is better than the defense, which is interesting. It's going to be playoff Jimmy Butler versus playoff Trae Young of Atlanta. That when the fourth quarter comes, who's between Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler and Trae Young and DeJohn Murray. Either one of those combination of players are going to get the rock in the fourth quarter. What happens before then? Well, Miami does have Victor Oladipo. So I think from Miami's standpoint, he's their defensive stopper. He's going to be on Young and Murray. And between Duncan Robinson and Strauss, they got to have those guys hitting those open threes when Butler and Tyler Hero are going to the hole, or Bam is getting doubled, Bam Adebayo. They're shooting 37% from three. This is really a good Miami shooting team. And what they've done to beat the Atlanta Hawks, they've taken a lot of what the Hawks love to do with Trae Young coming off that high screen and roll, driving to the basket, drawing a ton of fouls, which he's really good at. And they've really scrambled to take the airspace from some of the three-point shooters. They've blitzed the pick and roll a lot. They really have done a good job of when Nate McMillan was coach. Now that Quinn Snyder is coach, there's a little more of a free-flowing offense of the Hawks. So I give them a little better chance. But Miami's going to do that. Miami's going to do what they do. They're going to blitz Trae Young and Murray and dare the other guys to make shots. But they do a good job of scrambling. So Bogdanovich and Herter are not always getting the three. For the Atlanta Hawks, they got to figure out how to get Trae Young, somehow beat this trap, the half court, the way they get trapped on defense. They have to figure out how to get Trae Young to his sweet spots. And he's not just of course, he'll give you that little step back three and three-point shot and drive to the basket. He'll drive to the hole and kind of stop, and then you'll end up fouling him. He's really good at that. And he doesn't miss free throws. So, yeah, he's got that. But what really gets Atlanta going is when he's throwing alley-oops to Capella and Collins in that little pick, and I guess I could call it pick and alley-oop because it's a pick and roll, but usually the roller is headed toward the rim, and Trae Young is either going to throw his floater up, or if the help comes, he throws kind of loops the alley-oop, and they catch it and they throw it down. And that gets the Hawks going because now, we got to stop that. And what he'll do, all right, let's run that same variation of the play, and let's kick it back to Bogdanovich and Herter, who are their three-point snipers. Those two guys have got to get off somehow. Quinn Snyder's got to figure out how to beat Miami's defense, because Bogdanovich and Herter are the X factors for the Hawks. And you got to have playoff Trae Young, and they got to play a little together. They were kind of a mess, kind of, with their issues with the coach. Now that Quinn Snyder's there, they played a little better. But for Miami, their X factors, Caleb Martin and Strauss, and Duncan Robinson coming in there shooting and making threes. And Miami's got to play Miami. You're not going to play the Miami Heat defense of old, but play to a little higher level because of the defensively. I trust Miami more. I think Atlanta is more talented, and it'd be kind of cool to see Atlanta in there with Trae Young, but I trust the Heat. They're tried and true. And I just believe in Spoelstra. We'll get it done. He'll figure it out. And I don't know if Atlanta's going to be able to adjust. They got to make that adjustment off the pick and roll defense that Miami plays. I just think Miami's going to get more baskets at the end. They're home. If you hear this sound, dun, 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 then Miami, you know Miami Heat's winning it about to advance. And if Miami, see, mentally, from a mental tough standpoint, I don't give the Hawks any chance. Talent-wise, yeah, they give a chance against Boston, but not mentally tough, and they have no history. The Atlanta Hawks since 1957, they're 2-11 against Boston. They won in 1958. Now, I'm trying to remember. It might have been 54 or something like that. They haven't won, and they haven't had any recent success against the Boston Celtics. That's years. That's 50. That's about almost 60 years of losing to the Celtics. I don't see that changing if they get in there. I just don't think they defend enough to stop Brown and all those other guys and Williams, and they'll just Trae Young will be fine, but no. The Hawks ceiling, I mean the Heat, their ceiling is win this, give Boston a lot of trouble, and get 2 games from Boston. That's the Miami Heat series. I'm going to Heat. I believe that's what's going to happen. Bulls Raptors. I'm rooting for the Bulls. I want to see the Bulls win. I'm not picking the Bulls. I'll give you my reasons why. I'm because you gotta go by matchups and logic. Even if you're pulling for a team, but you gotta be realistic. The Raptors have beaten the Bulls 3 out of 4. They really did a great job of doubling. They almost play like a matchup zone against DeRozan and Levine. They hard doubles in the post. They're very long. They've used their length for deflections. It's just a hard defense to deal with. Vucevic has got to make threes for the Bulls. I'm going to give you the key for the Bulls. They got to figure out how to get Levine and DeRozan. Levine's been really playing good. Levine and Rosen touches, the right touches, to make this a really tough game. They have to really, really, really ball out. DeRozan and the Bulls have to really do a good job of if Lonzo Ball, they'd be further on. They would be in the playoffs and not in the playoffs if Lonzo Ball is healthy. But I think Love, I'm going to say, I mean, I think that, I'm sorry, Cody White is going to have to be the X factor. Alex Caruso has had a lot of trouble. He's good as a defender he is. Siakam has posted him up a lot. They're going to have to make some type of adjustment because they're going to go right back to that. Siakam's crafty enough to make that a pain in the neck type of situation. But you know what it is? It's Siakam and Barnes doing what they do. And I think the X factor is Onunobi because you know he's going to give you points. You know you got that three-headed monster, Onunobi, Barnes, and Siakam coming with that length, making shots, making plays and playmaking. The key is Gary Trent coming off, making shots. Will Barton, been there before. I think the key for and Otto Porter with a championship. So the Raptors, they're going to be a pain in the neck if they do win, and they end up having to play they win out and they win the next game and they play the Bucks. That's a tough series for the Bucks. But if they win this game, one of the most important guys who's a dangerous player because he got a championship too is Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet is the guy that hits those big threes. He's the guy that runs the offense. He's the guy that sets all these other players up. I just like the Raptors because of their length and because of how the matchup is. And Nick Nurse will find a way to win and run the right plays. And the Raptors will take care of business. And they would have to play. I'm picking they have to play the Hawks. And I think they're going to beat the Hawks and they're going to play the Bucks. Those are my predictions for the East. So I believe it's going to be the Celtics and the Heat and the Bucks versus the Raptors. if you're an NBA fan and you love basketball, because a lot of the country they'll be into LA and Minnesota and the Heat and the Hawks and all that. Don't sleep on this OKC New Orleans matchup because Shea Gildress Alexander is a baller. He is a superstar. And he's OKC's hope. This is OKC's hope. I'm gonna pick New Orleans, but I'm gonna tell you something. Do not be surprised if OKC goes and gets that game. But it's just the fact that it's in New Orleans, that's tough. But OKC with Dort, he's the best defensive. I believe he's the best defensive player in the league. Gary Payton Jr. is up there, Smart's up there, but he can sometimes take too many chances. A guy that just go dig in you, guard the post player, guard the guards, guard the point guards. One of the best at it. And there's another really great defender on the other side of New Orleans too. I'll get to that in a minute. But Dort, it gives them hope. Alexander gives them hope. It gives them a puncher's chance to make it happen. Could you imagine Chet Holmgren was playing? They got a future with the draft picks. But for now, Trey Mann's going to help. Josh Giddey is a nice little. Josh Giddey is the X factor. I just think that he's got to play well. But the Pelicans got too much. I think that they got the two dudes, and I watched them in the playoffs, the two dudes that bounce off each other when it comes to catching the ball, driving to the basket, mid-range, three-point shot, driving to the basket, going to the free throw line, making shots, is McCollum and Ingram. And then you got the X factor of X factors, Jose Alvarado. And Alvarado will be guarding Shea Gildress. The Alvarado, he's going to pick him up full court. The Alvarado-Gildress matchup is the one you got to watch. That's the one I'm looking forward to seeing because that's going to be two dudes going after each other. Probably some talking. He's going to try to get under Alexander's skin. And then you got Trey Murphy, who's a very long, very good defender. And then Herbert Jones, who I absolutely love. I'm surprised they don't have a better record, even with Zion out. Because I saw them last year, but you know what? I saw them kind of play okay in the regular season. When the playoffs came, they took it to another level. Now, I love Willie Green as a coach. And if they do win, the loser of LA and Minnesota, that's going to be a problem. Especially if it's Minnesota and they go to Minnesota and they lost to Minnesota just recently. That could be an issue. If they ever got out of this round, they're going to give Denver hell, man. They just are. They'll be the 8th seed. I'm picking the Pelicans to win and win in the next game, whoever it is, whether it's LA or Minnesota. I do believe it. If it's Minnesota, I definitely will believe that. Then you have LA versus Memphis, and then then Denver versus the Pelicans. I do believe the Pelicans are going to come out as play-in regardless of who they play.